welcome to Market Open Direct Connect, a webinar series for companies to tell their story, why it's compelling and why it's an opportunity to invest. I'm your host, Stuart Walters, and we're joined here today by Dr. Amanda Buckingham, Managing Director at Warriedar Resources, ASX code WA8. Amanda will present the company's recently released outstanding antimony and gold results, and will also participate in a Q&A. You can ask questions of Amanda, and you can submit those questions via the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen. A recording of this webinar will also be available on Market Open and Warriedar Resources communication channels within the next 24 hours. It's time to introduce our guest. Amanda, welcome to Direct Connect, and over to you.
Thank you, Stuart. Wonderful to be here speaking with you and shareholders and investors again. And what a perfect time. I think there's never a better time than when you've just released a maiden resource. So we are, as you know, we're a gold company, but we have just delivered Australia's largest open pitable antimony resource. And we are delighted both with what we've achieved, but actually more so with where we believe we can take the antimony and gold story from here. So allow me to just first put our new resource and where we sit in context, because I know not everyone knows the broader story. Where do we sit? Why do we consider this ground to be so prospective? So we sit in the southern Murchison. The Murchison is the home of Westgold, Ramelius, Spartan. We are surrounded by long life, deep tapping gold and base metal mines. We own a commanding land position. We now have 2.3 million ounces of gold equivalent. We are drilling now. We've got a diamond rig back on site this weekend, a second turning up in 2 weeks. We've just announced our first antimony resource. We have infrastructure. We're in a belt that is it's infrastructure rich, the southern Murchison. So our context is brilliant. Our project has been delivering. We know that the only way you really grow is through drilling. You know, the old, this is not mine, but it's the whole drill baby drill is so appropriate. And we adopted that. We took on this project early 2023. We had to understand what we have, had to set up the team, and then we drilled. Last year, we doubled the size of Ricciardo, our main gold deposit. And then this year, 1 week ago, after discovering antimony last August, we've just announced our first antimony resource at Ricciardo. Now we have 60,000 tonnes of contained antimony. Most of that, 57,000 tonnes, sits in an optimised open pit. Now that's important because open pit, the costs of open pit mining are generally a lot less than underground. So you can actually have a resource with a lower grade and keep your costs down. We are the largest open pit antimony resource in Australia, as far as we know. So to get that with the first MRE is fantastic for us. I should also note that we've done this without having drilled a single hole that was planned for antimony. So I believe we've got a long and very, the growth trajectory, I can never say that word, for us is quite remarkable. Our total MRE at Golden Range is now 2.3 million ounces of gold equivalent. And if you look at our growth, in 2023, we had 0.8. Last year, we doubled that to 1.3. This year, we've just increased that again to 2.3 million ounces gold equivalent. Our pathway is looking fantastic, and we know exactly where to drill for more gold and antimony. I've just pasted the gold and antimony prices here. Thank you, Lovato. It's a great table. Those are our two commodities. And while I'm not a commodity expert by any measure, my background is all resources and discovery. But I like the outlook for both those metals. And while I think many of you would have experienced me saying early on, like let's say last November, I was probably cautiously optimistic about antimony. Now, having put out this resource, I realise that this is a real, fantastic, some would say free kick for a gold company, but this can really help us progress Ricciardo And not only Ricciardo, we believe there's antimony potential across the entire belt, and that is extremely exciting. I like this map, and let me just dwell on this for a moment. I do want to show you our resource. We have the second largest antimony resource in Australia, but a few things to note. There's only one producing antimony mine in Australia, that's Costerfield. Now, Hillgrove, owned by Levoto, they put out their DFS on Monday, which is fantastic to see. They are going into production. They have the largest resource in Australia. They've been very helpful to us, so thank you, Levoto. But look at the global map. Like, the US has no domestic supply of antimony. The antimony production and market is controlled by China, Russia, Tajikistan, even in terms of processing. There's sort of a dual supply chain and system. So I don't pretend to understand the machinations of antimony yet, but what I do know is that we can keep drilling and we can find more antimony, and it will be well received on the global scale. What is our strategy for growth? This is it. It has not changed in 2 years. Why? Because it's working. The first part of our strategy is to grow Ricciardo. We doubled it last year. We've just got it up to just under 2 million ounces of gold equivalent last week, incorporating antimony. This is where we believe we can have tremendous growth immediately. The second part of the strategy is to grow the deposits within what we call the Golden Corridor. And for those new to the Warriedar story, the Golden Corridor goes from Austin in the north to Buckingham in the south. There's 2.22 million ounces of gold equivalent, all on mining leases, all connected by a haul road, including our own processing plant next to M1. But let's not forget part 3 of the strategy. We own this entire 70-kilometre long shear. Most of it has not been explored well at all. The Southern Murchison is well endowed, underexplored. Most of the goodies are hidden under cover. We plan to find new deposits along that shear. Let's look at Ricciardo, because I can talk all day on this. So move along, Amanda. This is what Ricciardo looks like. It was previously mined. It is now our largest gold and antimony deposit within the Golden Range project. Drilling of about 15,000 metres last year saw Ricciardo double to just under 1 million ounces of gold. With the inclusion of the antimony resource, we now have just under 2 million ounces of gold equivalent. Importantly, the high-grade gold and antimony remain open, both at depth, but also along strike. We have not closed off, or we do not understand this resource, this deposit well yet at all, and therein lies the opportunity. Let's just take a look at Ricciardo. There's a few points that I'd like to make. So this is a long section through the deposit. So we're basically taking the deposit that you can see on the right. On the right, we're looking down on Ricciardo, and on the left, we're cutting it through the middle and looking to the east. And these brown and green areas that you see, they are the 2 domains that define the antimony resource. And you can see that most of it is in this open pittable zone, the zone above the black dashed line. Fantastic first MRE. What I'd like to point out here, you can see now that I've coloured the resource by the grade of the antimony. Where is your eye drawn to? It's drawn to this red, orange-red area under the Ardmore pit. This is the high-grade part of the antimony resource that is not yet represented properly in the resource. Why? There simply were not enough drill holes into it yet to have it as a separate domain. Where is the diamond rig going first when it arrives? Right there. We are going to drill that high-grade antimony breccia pipe. We're going to understand it better. We would love to update the MRE and include a separate domain of high-grade antimony below Ardmore, noting that in the assays, the highest grade was 29% antimony. It's a superb opportunity for immediate drilling. I should just note, because processing is always extremely important. Have we done preliminary met work? Yes. To date, we can produce a concentrate with just under 50% antimony, and we can do that with a recovery of 81%. This is not perfect. It's first stage network to just de-risk further drilling and advancement of the project. It's a fantastic result. So we're growing the antimony, we're understanding the processing and flow sheet exactly as we should. A cross-section through the resource, meaning that now we've cut the deposit east-west and we're looking north. And you can see that it's fairly consistent. There's a high-grade core and a fairly wide resource that is pretty well defined. But I should note that this is still, there's a lot of upgrading in terms of the classification of the resource that we can do. We weren't aiming for a mineable resource. We wanted to put out a first stage antimony MRE that we can drill and improve on. If we have a quick look at the gold, remembering we are a gold company, we understand what happens to the gold a lot more at depth. It's still fairly open at depth, but we at least have an underground part to it. So these two shapes or colors define what is the gold resource. And so we have just over 1 million ounces in the resource now. Most of that, 744,000 ounces, is above the black dash line. So it's in the optimized open pit, and the rest is underground. Now, if we apply the color, thank you, Sean, my database, my GIS geologist made these late last night for me. It's your classic Ricciardo long section view, and you can see that there's a clear high-grade chute below Silverstone, and likewise at Ardmore, there's the making of a high-grade chute. We simply don't know what happens below this black dash line here, and likewise there's no drilling below the chute at the high-grade chute at Silverstone. So there's immediate growth targets via drilling in terms of the gold story at Ricciardo. Have we done initial met work? Yes. We can recover up to 96% of the gold. What sort of process does the gold need? Well, it actually needs the same processing that the antimony needs. Both the gold and antimony need flotation. The way we've set up the resource is actually, well, for me, it's quite intuitive. There's a gold zone, there's an antimony zone, and there's a combined gold and antimony zone. So in my mind, we'll do further met work, but we could potentially grow the resource and then produce a gold concentrate, an antimony concentrate, and a combined gold and antimony concentrate. Are we ready to do that now? No way. But is the stage we're at now a brilliant step towards understanding the full potential? Yes. So we will keep drilling, we'll keep doing met work, and we'll grow these resources. And it's an exciting time to be in the gold and antimony space. A quick point on, just to make sure, I guess our shareholders know, we have not, even though Ricciardo is our focus right now, we are very aware of the larger opportunity within what we call the Golden Corridor. So we have actually already drilled some pre-columns at Windon Well, at M1, at Ricciardo. The diamond rig will arrive imminently to actually drill through the ore zone. So we would like to not only progress Ricciardo immediately, but also to advance Windon Well M1 and several other deposits within the key focus area. I'm not going to go into gold, but I wanted to just add, this is one of my favorite new figures, and I'll clean it up a little bit for Windon Well. And I realized that previously I had been speaking about this gold deposit without actually showing you context. The resource sits, covers about 900 meters strike there, but the host BIF unit goes for about 3.6 kilometers without a single hole into it. So we're going to look for repeats of Windon Well within that BIF unit, remembering that Windon Well has a grade of 2.9 and it's 5 kilometers from the processing plant. Likewise, the little nugget of a deposit, M1, walking distance from the plant, a grade of 2.9. Last year we drilled one diamond hole into it and got 9 meters at 9 grams per ton. We don't quite understand that. It's a fantastic problem to have. We will follow up and understand the distribution of grade in that deposit. So what are we going to do immediately in terms of the antimony? That's a view of the plant. I'm just going to move to a slide because I'd actually like to have enough time for questions, because I know many of you do have a lot of questions. This is what we're doing immediately in terms of the antimony, because I've had a lot of questions about this. This is what it looks like. That high-grade breccia pipe at the northern end of Ricciardo, it's distinctive. Even I, as a geophysicist, can recognize the antimony in the core. The antimony, the stibnite, seems to come in and flood. It basically forms the matrix of the rock to the north. Now, we plan to drill and understand this high-grade shoot a lot better. We then plan to drill and understand the antimony extent across Ricciardo. We will do further metal drilling and upgrade the classification of the antimony resource to add confidence to our resource and our understanding. But importantly, we will then drill at other areas within the Golden Corridor where we know there to be antimony. For example, 4 kilometres to the south of Ricciardo, in a gold hole, at the end of last year, we came across 8 metres at 2.2% antimony. A new discovery. We don't know how extensive it is. It's a fantastic next step in terms of uncovering the full potential across the belt. And I keep reminding myself, we've done this without drilling a single dedicated antimony hole. So imagine what we can do when we actually focus on the antimony. In summary, before questions, we own a commanding land position in the southern Murchison. It is a world-class gold mining district. This is the first antimony resource, the largest antimony resource in Western Australia, the largest open pit resource in Australia. We have been drilling and delivering high-grade gold and high-grade gold extensions. We updated the Ricciardo gold MRE last year, doubling the size of the resource. And we've just done it again last week by integrating the antimony. We have all our deposits on permitted mining leases. We're in an infrastructure-rich region with our own processing plant. We are funded, we are drilling now, and we plan to continue to grow these resources via drilling. It's a fantastic time for us. We are extremely excited about what we can do in both the gold and antimony space. So I might stop there and welcome some questions. Thank you very much, Stuart.
Amanda, thank you. Fantastic presentation, extremely well explained as always. We have had a number of questions come in, so we'll get onto those now. Given the global supply stresses for antimony, what steps is a company taking to engage with end users, governments or downstream processors who would be interested in securing future supply?
Yeah, actually, that's a great question. So we have started to have those conversations, both with offtake partners, commodity traders, potential groups. We're looking at various government and other funding to help us advance the resource. What we needed to get to was a stage of announcing a number, like that 60,000 tonnes of contained antimony. It's got the attention of quite a few people. So we are exploring all those avenues. We're not going to rush into signing some offtake agreement. We'll do our homework. We'll get to know the value of our resource. We'll grow it, but we'll establish those relationships so at the right time we can make the right decision for Warriedar.
And what are the company's key permitting or regulatory milestones over the next 12 months that could impact project timelines?
Permitting and regulatory. Well, we're very fortunate in that these deposits are all on permitted mining leases. So even the antimony, in terms of a kickstart, we've got permitted mining lease at Ricciardo, flat accessible ground, a haul road that connects back to our processing plant. We've actually got a sealed road from the plant to the Geraldton port. So thinking about exporting a con, there's a nice, clear, de-risk pathway for us in terms of advancing our progress to development.
And how does the company plan to balance potential development of both gold and antimony, given their different market dynamics, pricing mechanisms, and processing requirements?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Our approach right now, we are a gold company. We've got a solid gold resource, and I think the antimony is a fantastic bonus. Some may say icing on the cake, a free kick, however you'd like to express it. I'm taking the antimony very seriously. I believe we can advance our gold and antimony resources By having both, the projection for both the gold and antimony markets are very positive. But we also are very pleased that our understanding of the processing, so the flow sheet we would need for both the gold and antimony are very similar. We'd need to set up flotation for both gold and antimony, different reagents, but same hardware. So I think the pathway is aligning in terms of gold and antimony. Our approach right now is to drill as much as we can to grow these resources. I honestly believe that the real progress and growth is ahead of us. We've demonstrated what we can do in both the gold and antimony space, and now we need to get those 2 rigs on site and just drill and continue to update the resources and deliver solid growth. So yeah, look, a fantastic position to be in right now.
Can you explain the potential scenarios for monetizing the SIL plant? Will it be refurbished for in-house production, leased, or potentially sold to fund exploration?
But the plant it gives us optionality. We know a lot more about the plant now and spent quite a few months looking into it. We just want to make sure we have multiple pathways that we can go down. It de-risks, it gives us a far more, far more power to control our own destiny. So as an explorer with a permitted processing plant, I mean, that could potentially save us 2 or 3 years of permitting. Is it suitable for fresh rock gold antimony? No. Could we upgrade it? Yes. Are there opportunities to toll treat in the Southern Murchison? Yes, possibly. We are looking at every single pathway that we could go down. But ultimately, the real growth for our company and our shareholders comes via the drill bit. We need to expand the resources and demonstrate the true potential here. We're not looking for 100, 200,000 ounces, to add to our portfolio. I've said before, and I still believe it strongly, this is an 8 million ounce belt. You look at our neighbours, you look at the history of the deposits, over time with further drilling, these high-grade gold shoots continue at depth. And someone keeps saying to me, the gold doesn't fall out of the sky, and likewise for the antimony. So growth through drilling is key for us, but having those options and the optionality of processing infrastructure really sets us ahead.
If you look at the company's valuation in terms of dollars an ounce gold equivalent or dollars per tonne antimony compared to your ASX listed peers, where do you see the most value uplift for shareholders?
Look, I guess I'm going to respond to that based on antimony at the moment because it's all front and centre. There's 2 companies that I'm looking at. I mean, Hillgrove have done a fantastic job of getting that DFS out and progressing. Larvotto have progressing the Hillgrove deposit. They have a market cap of 330 mil. Correct me, I haven't looked at it for a couple of days. It's a fantastic role model for us. We're different. We're open pitable first stage. We're very early stage. We've got a fantastic initial resource out with incredible growth. The other company that I was looking at recently, Perpetua Resources, they have the only antimony resource in the US that's going to be developed. It's double the size of ours in terms of contained antimony. The grade is 0.066. Our grade is 0.5. The market cap of that company, I believe, is $1.6 billion. So I need to check that now. But there is a pathway to considerable re-rating on the back of us de-risking further growth in the antimony story. And that comes through drilling, which is exactly what we're doing from this weekend.
There's limited processing of antimony concentrate across the world. China has most free processing capability and the US has little sort of free processing capability, sorry. Do you know if there's any thought about increasing processing capability outside of China?
I believe there is. I've been having some very interesting conversations with colleagues, in particular one who I didn't realise was an antimony, third generation antimony trader. I don't want to go into details, but I believe there is considerable scope in the short to medium term to expand the downstream processing for antimony. I also believe, and Larvotto has this same approach, there is plenty of space at the top of the antimony tree for multiple companies in Australia. Adopting a collegiate supportive approach to developing Australia's antimony resources is the best way to go. And that's certainly what Larvotto have done with us, and we appreciate that guidance. So I think the Australian antimony market could really open up. And to have access to downstream processing outside of China is a key part of that. And I know there's a lot being done on that front.
Do you have an estimate, guesstimate? The timeline would be from explorer to producer.
I'm actually not going to put a number over that. All I can on that, because people will dangle it. All I can say is that the only way we grow and expand is via drilling and resource growth. We have a diamond rig turning up this weekend with a second coming in 2 weeks. We are going to accelerate our drilling program to add gold and antimony. And I guess I can say, to answer that question, we are very aware of the commodity prices and the pressure to move into development and production, but we will do that when we are ready, when we have solid resources. We want to become a long life, high margin gold and antimony producer in the Southern Murchison, and we will make sure we do that really well.
Do you know if there's an Australian government strategy for antimony? So looking at some support for the development?
I don't know if there's a specific antimony strategy. There's a critical minerals strategy. I have one of my team members looking into that very closely at the moment, looking at the options for us in terms of what groups we can be part of, what funding we can tap into. So I'd like our shareholders to be rest assured that any funding we can get and any assistance we can get, we will certainly go down that path.
Windham Well and M1 are close to the current SIL plant. Do you have any plan to develop Windham Well and M1 mine to generate early cash flow?
It's certainly something we're looking at, and we have been looking at that for a while. Is it something we're doing next week? No. Do we need to drill more to understand how we would go down that path? Yes. Have we been drilling to answer some more questions? Yes. Do I believe there's a broadening of processing opportunities in the Southern Murchison? I believe that could be the case, and I'll just leave it there.
Okay. Someone says here, hi Amanda, very exciting about the Warriedar story, so congratulations. Can you please discuss some pathways to production and where the current resource, other than Ricciardo, can be used in existing SIL plant?
Yeah, look, I can certainly discuss some pathways to production. So we have gold resources that on the back of further drilling, and I should note that these gold resources, they're JORC resources. They're pre-scoping, pre-grade control drilling, pre-reserve definition. But on the back of further drilling, we could fast track some of these gold deposits into development and production. How would we do that? We could do that via toll treating to a mill within truckable distance. That truckable distance is much larger now with the attractive gold price, so there are opportunities. We could also look at a restart of our plant. Are we doing that now? That's not a plan, but we know a lot more, so that is factored into our medium-term considerations. What I believe we absolutely need to do, and this is our main focus, we need to drill and expand the resources and make these deposits as attractive as possible for long life, high margin mining. That is our focus for now. But certainly I would like our shareholders to know that if there's a short to medium term opportunity for early cash flow, we are looking at that very carefully.
Antimony pricing upside is currently subject to China and Russia warehousing, which may not last too much into the future. Do you have an accelerated development being considered?
We need to drill to grow the resources. I have no control. I understand exactly what that question is saying, and yes, it's a bit of a dark market, dual market. I'm still learning a lot, but yet there's always the possibility. There's a few key deposits that I won't go down that track. I understand the question. We can only advance the antimony development via drilling via upgrading the quality and classification of the resource and understanding how we process it. So we are going to fast track that so that any early development opportunities we can take advantage of.
What steps does the company have in place to negate predatory offers at this early stage?
We have some good advisors helping us with that. We're aware of that possibility. I'd say quite comfortably, we are a standalone advanced explorer, kicking goals in the Murchison. We are nowhere near ready for any of that. And so we are carefully monitoring that situation.
When do you envisage a drill rig being on site?
Oh, that's my favourite question. I think it's mobilising today or tomorrow. We've completed the RC component, and by that I mean, okay, it's not so exciting because the RC part, they're the pre-collars. They're basically going through the hanging wall, the part that is not mineralised, and you do that with RC because it's half the price. But now the exciting part begins. The diamond rig is turning up. I believe, I checked with my exploration manager, I believe it's tomorrow or Saturday. Maybe Monday. It's imminent. And you'll all be happy to know, I have been listening, we have a second rig turning up to advance. I'm very keen to push ahead. There's no going slow with us. We'll have a second diamond rig on site to start drilling that antimony and gold, high-grade antimony and gold program with a view to having regular news flow. We'll get those samples to the lab. We will build the antimony and gold story. We've also, I think I'm free to say, the pulp reassaying that we did at Ricciardo, it's something that worked. So I should just say that we are looking at that opportunity at other deposits. And what a fantastic way to increase a resource by just reassaying old pulps and not having to pay for the drilling. So any way we can save money, we do. We had great success from that pulp reassaying program at Ricciardo. And it was hard work. You know, it was hot, that there was no order about the samples. We had to really think about a process, and it worked. We will and are doing that at other deposits, and I look forward to delivering some updates on the more regional, well, not regional, the antimony potential either side of Ricciardo. That's probably a good way to say it.
How many meters are planned for the antimony drilling?
So the diamond program that is currently underway, it involves antimony and gold. I'm just going to say it's about a 3,000 or 4,000 meter diamond program for both. I could dig into that, but I will say there's adequate meters assigned to the antimony. But I should also note, every antimony hole is a gold hole, and likewise, every gold hole is an antimony hole. I guess it's just now that we've got the antimony resource, you can actually specifically plan the trace of a hole to perfectly intersect where you believe that high-grade shoot for the antimony is up to the north. So you do get a better outcome if you're drilling for antimony. But yeah, it's a combined antimony gold program. I then, subject to board approval, don't panic board, we have an ongoing drilling program that we would like to just flow into, and that will really deliver growth, we believe, across both Ricciardo and the broader Golden Corridor.
We've had two more questions come in, Amanda. Is there a target resource size at which point you would consider monetisation? Yeah,
that's a really good question. We have an engineer working with us to run those numbers all the time. So Ricciardo, there's a few points here, and I can say I believe the whole belt is easily a repeat of the sort of Mount Magnet success. So I believe the whole belt could be 6 to 8 million ounces. But if we focus on what we have at hand, Ricciardo is now just under 2 million ounces gold equivalent, just over 1 million ounces of gold. We believe we need to get that up to about 1.5 million ounces of gold, and likewise probably double the antimony. But the gold and antimony can be, you can pour from one bucket into the other in terms of value. It's not a technical term, but if you imagine you want to progress the gold and the antimony. So we would like to take Ricciardo, ideally, to sort of 3 million ounces gold equivalent. We know where to drill to do that. Is that the exact tipping point for immediate development? I can't commit to that. It depends on commodity prices at the time, but that would be, that's the number we're looking at. We believe we can do that with the drilling that we've planned if we can go hard the second half of this year. And that's what the team is ramping up for. We are looking from when this rig arrives to basically go hard in this belt. We've proven to ourselves and to our shareholders that it is worth spending those dollars to drill and expand these resources. Our understanding of both the gold and antimony now is light years ahead of what it was even a year ago. So I am so excited to have the diamond rig on site and to start churning through those results and to deliver them to, I remember last year, what my favorite intercept, actually there were multiple, but just having that repeated high grade gold that I could deliver to market. We can do that with both gold and antimony moving forward. So look, it's a fantastic time to be advanced gold and antimony explorers.
Can you confirm whether there are still prior drill holes being assayed for antimony, or have all those been taken into account into the 60 kiloton maiden MRE?
That's a great question. So this morning, I had a great call. We always have early team meetings. So my geologist, Peng Shah, is on site. This is not material, so I think I can say it. He found one of the holes that we were looking for. It's a diamond hole. We couldn't find it prior to the MRE update. He's just found the pulps from that hole. I won't talk about where it is, and hope I don't get in trouble for that. But so I think there's still, and I'm talking about Ricciardo, there is still some belief that we can find some old core holes that we can resample. But I think we're very close at Ricciardo to being at the stage where we just need to drill. The other deposits, now that's quite interesting, like the Azure Coast, where we intersected 8 meters at 2.2% antimony in December in a gold hole. I think the gold was like 10 meters at 2 grams. We haven't been back there. We have been looking closely at that. I don't want to detract from the excitement of pulling that all together and delivering it to market, so I'm not going to say any more, but rest assured we are applying the same process, and I believe there will be considerable, I can't say what the results will be, but there will be enough assays to certainly take a good look for antimony at several other deposits, and we'll do it in a very cost-effective way by just re-assaying, not re-drilling.
2 more late questions that come in. Will you be drilling for antimony at Big Springs?
That's a great question. It's a fantastic question. We are, it's interesting. So the mine next door, Jarrett Canyon, it started its life as an antimony mine. We've been very aware of antimony at Big Springs for some time. We are keen to, our focus, we've done well in WA for a small explorer, and we know we can kick goals in WA. It's our backyard, we understand it well. Our plan to divest Big Springs is a good plan. So I believe someone will drill for gold and potentially antimony at Big Springs. And yes, it's something that's we've been very aware of for some time. That's a very astute question. Thank you.
And just an update on the US assets, US gold intention.
We, as I've said several times, but I actually maybe haven't said it lately, we do plan to divest Big Springs. It's the right path for that asset. We need to focus on WA, where we've been having great success. So yeah, we will find the right pathway, the right group to take that asset on. Someone hungry for success. I think it's always very clear when there's a team that is terribly hungry for success, incentivized, driven. That's the team that I run at Warriedar. I can't tell you how excited the GO team is when we hit high-grade antimony or gold, and it's something we all share. So I think if you don't have that passion, that love for exploration, it's not the people we want involved. How did I digress to that? Yes, the Big Springs will find the right group to take on that asset. And it's likely that we'd retain some equity, so I think we'd be aligned, we'd have a team that we were aligned with.
Amanda, thank you so much for your honesty. You can hear it in your voice how much it means to you, and certainly the messages that have come through from investors and shareholders send many congratulations for everything that you guys have achieved so far. There's been some great questions come in, so I really appreciate you taking part in this Q&A and the presentation. For more information about Warriedar Resources, you can head to the company website, warriedarresources.com.au, or you can follow the company's social media channels and Investor Centre. Thank you to everybody for participating in today's webinar. We'll keep you updated with more opportunities as they arrive. Amanda, thanks again, and we'll speak again soon.
Thank you, Stuart. Thank you, everyone, for joining.